Hey everybody, it's Jordy. So over a year ago, I started putting together a review for my car, which at the time had just rolled over 200,000 miles. I was kind of super proud about that. I don't know why. I think a lot of modern cars go over 200,000 miles, but I'd never had one that went that far. So um, as you can maybe tell from looking at my channel, I never put out that video, just never kind of got around to it. But one thing stuck in my head. I got rid of the car back in June of 2021, and at the time it had like 211 something thousand miles on it. And I started trying to figure out, well, how much did this car cost me to drive? Like, how many dollars per mile did that thing cost? And also, the car that I purchased to replace it, can I try to figure out if that car can meet or beat it, or, I don't know. I don't think this data has any value, really. I mean, people's car buying purchases rarely come down to just cents per mile or whatever, but because there are so many other factors. But I was thinking through, like, how would I actually come to that number? And so I started working on a series of Google spreadsheets just to try to come to that number, and I wanted to share them today. So the things that I was really trying to track to get to this magical price per mile were the price, initial price of the car, sale price of the car, which I sold in June of 2021. I was also trying to track like maintenance. So I do actually have receipts for every time I bought oil, every time I bought new tires, every time I took it to a place to have it fixed. There were a handful of things that'll go wrong, and I'll share that stuff later. But the big obvious price that you're going to pay over and over and over again is on gas. Now, of course, the Prius is a hybrid, and it gets the mileage it gets, and I think that's, people really like the car for that. And I do have access to the lifetime mileage of the car. It ended up in the winters running around 45 to 48 miles per gallon. In the summer, it was well into the 50s. The total mileage for the entire lifetime of the car was 51 miles per gallon, which I was pretty happy with there. Unfortunately, I lost. I had a spreadsheet with all of the receipts for gas that I had saved them. I'd put them in a spreadsheet, and they got lost, unfortunately. But there is a way to find out how much you spent on gas. The state of Ohio has a weekly drop where they say the price, the average price of gas in the state of Ohio. So it's a little less exact because obviously some weeks I drove more than other weeks. In fact, with the Prius, I took it to Chicago every single year, at least once. I drove it to Colorado and back once. So obviously, just averaging the price of gas throughout the mileage of the car is somewhat inaccurate, and that's a huge hole here in my in my estimate here. But I feel like when you drive a car for 211,000 miles or whatever it turned out to be, it spreads out enough that it's pretty close. I feel pretty good about this number, and I'll explain why as we go along. But what you can see here from the state of Ohio, so I always bought regular gas. I purchased the car at the end of January of 2008, and you can see that that month it was 3.07 dollars per gallon. So I have let's see. So I have a Toyota Prius gas. So then I have how much mileage I put on per week for the entire lifetime of the car. And you can just kind of see how this goes straight down the line here. So I have a pretty good idea of how much I spent every week that I had the car. And here you can see I got rid of it on June 21st of 2021. At 203,000. I said 211,000 earlier, but I guess I sold it at 203,000 miles. And then I also keep track of like all my oil changes. I bought my own oil and oil filter each time I did it, so I just kind of guesstimated there. But I knew when I did them because I marked that in the little book. And then every time I had to pay for something, I kept track of that. I also kept track of my insurance payments. So insurance, was a pretty regular. I just pay for that annually. So what that brings us to is the total cost of ownership for this car was like $50,900, like almost $51,000, which at 200,000 miles, 208,000 miles or whatever, 203,000 miles or whatever it is, comes out to be 25 cents per mile to drive that car. Now, I don't even know if that's good. I feel like that's good, but like I don't have any way to say if that's good or bad. I don't know what the average is supposed to be, but that's just kind of what it came down to. And down here you can see a breakdown by maintenance, gas, insurance. I did add the purchase price into that first year. So the first year that car cost me a ton, but it, just because the purchase price was in it. But you can see that by the, a couple of these years, you can tell that something major happened to the car. There was, let's see, a couple times where I had to, like here, I had this hub bearing, I had a water pump go in and tires. I think that was all in the same year. So that was kind of an expensive year. Every time I had to do batteries or whatever, things cost money, whatever. This was another big one here in 2019. I had shocks and struts put on the car. But anyway, you can kind of tell what it cost me per year just by looking at this. And overall, I would say it makes me feel like 25 cents is a good price. I actually don't know if that's a good price, but it feels that way. So what does this do for me? In June of 2021, I purchased a Tesla, and I wanted to go to an electric car. Kind of the other electric cars in the market really don't do anything for me, either range or quality wise. I don't know. I picked up my Tesla and I started tracking, and I tracked everything. And I have been tracking the difference between what I would have been paying in gas versus what I am paying in electricity. And I'm using, again, this Ohio gas data, and I'm sticking with my regular gasoline. I also am using a couple different cars' EPA mileage, what they're actually getting, as my comparator. So I have a spreadsheet here for my Tesla. I have a bunch of different options for things that I might pay for. You can see early on here I'm buying a lot of frou-frou shit, just goofy stuff for the car. But I'm keeping track of everything, including car washes. I took a meter on how much water I use for when I wash the car, and I'm keeping track of that. So I mean, it's about 7 cents per wash. So I'm keeping track of pretty much everything here. I'm also keeping track of my odometer and how much my electric spend is. I got to that number by just getting how much it costs for kilowatt hours. I looked into wire loss and things like that, just to get the actual number. I used an app called TesLab that sort of calculates a lot of that stuff for you, but it is really accurate. So I'm able to just say like, well, here's how many kilowatt hours I consumed in a given week. I'm just doing electric weekly, and here's how much that spend is, and here's how much it would have cost if it was gas. So for example, here this week, the week of October 11th, 2021, I spent $4 in electric. I would have spent $20.33 on gas had I done that. Now, obviously right now gas is really high. Everybody's I haven't done I'm recording this at the end of this week, so I haven't put that in yet. But so you can see like last week, for example, gas had gone up to 409 in the state of Ohio. Pretty bad, right? I spent $4 total on electric. I would have spent 21. Now, I wasn't driving much last week, but that's a big difference. Now, obviously, Teslas cost a lot of money, so and there are other things to keep track of. So I'm not trying to say that like this is a apples to apples comparison. In fact, when you look at the totals for the Tesla so far, when you count in the purchase price and everything else, I am currently at $1.18 per mile. So that's a lot higher than 25 cents, obviously. And that will drop over time, just like the Priuses did. I have saved just in gas, and I put saves in quotes here for a reason, because it's like saved, right? I mean, I paid a lot for the car, so it's not an apples to apples comparison, but the difference between my electric payments, the amount that I've spent just on electricity versus the amount that I would have spent on gas, is about $700. Now, there's a couple other things that you have to keep in mind here. The state of Ohio charges me an extra $200 a year to drive an electric car because I'm not paying the gas tax. So that's going to eat into that. This is why it's a little tough to to factor all these things in. But even if you look at that, like so far, then I'm at $500 instead of $700, for example, saved just by looking at that the extra registration costs. And I'm starting to get closer and closer and closer to an equilibrium. At some point, I think I will be officially able to say, okay, this is an apples to apples comparison. The other thing I'm looking into right now, and I haven't completed this yet, is a month to month breakdown. So in the first month of the Prius, what did the car cost me versus the first month of the Tesla, and so on. And then I can kind of see when the Tesla, I can project out and I can see how much per mile it will cost me over time. So anyway, the way I am tracking all of this information is been a lot of fun for me. This is every drive in the Tesla that I've taken. I get this data out of the car itself. They have a lot of data you can get out of the car. They track everything. They're tracking everything with this car. I am tracking as much as I can with the car itself, daily or weekly as needed. And obviously, I'm continuing to track the Ohio gas data, and then in terms of like the Prius, obviously I'm not tracking anything new at this point with that, but just because it's gone, I no longer have it. But I guess the reason I'm getting to all this is at the end, I do want to be able to just say like, hey, this car. The Prius cost me 25 cents per mile to drive, and the Tesla cost me what? And we can subtract out the vanity if we want, like all the extra frou-frou crap that came with that I purchased for the car. And I'm hoping to just maybe reach parity. How long will it take for the Model 3 to reach parity? I don't actually know. Obviously that time will tell on that one. So maybe I'll follow up. Maybe I'll do a video some other day. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. So with that, that's really all I had to share today. I don't know if you're interested in seeing my numbers. I'm happy to share them. And if you're interested in doing this for your own car, I'm happy to share how I got here as well. So I think that's it. All right, Jordy out.